Alright, what's up everybody? It's your favorite villain, and today I have two people that were recently on a video and one who's been on my channel before, but it's been a while. Forrest, you want to go ahead and say what's up?
Yo, what's up, guys? Captain Forrest here.
We got Don from, he's a sponsor and he was on the last JoJo video if you want to say what's up.
What's up?
And then Jobber is returning as well from the last JoJo video.
What's up, it's your lawyer, Jabber Godot.
Yep. Now, today we're going to do I've done these kind of style videos before. It's kind of like a round table where we're going to do quick versus battle. A lot of these are inverse for JoJo, but others are cross verse, but all of them will have at least one JoJo character in it, so it should be fun. So the first matchup we are going to be doing is Jonathan and Dio from part 1 versus Caesar Zeppeli from part 2. Anyone want to go first on their opinion on that?
I'll go ahead and go first. Jonathan versus Caesar would be a pretty good matchup. I mean, it's shown in part 2, Caesar's able to keep up with Joseph and is actually a little bit better than Joseph before his training with hormones. So, and also Jonathan is just naturally adept to using Ripple hormone. So it would be a very good matchup. Honestly, I think I see Caesar taking it like 6 out of 10 times. Just due to the fact that Caesar's more trained in hormone than Jonathan is. I just believe that technique is better than natural ability. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think Caesar might actually have a case for more raw power than Jonathan anyway. At least in terms of what was displayed. Yeah, I agree. Caesar's technical skill is really advanced. Because of that, I think he would be too much for Jonathan and Dio. I think especially with Dio being a vampire, he'd exploit that pretty quickly and just target weaknesses of vampires. Jonathan, I just don't think Jonathan's fast enough. Like, they barely dodged the light beam attack, or at least Jonathan barely did. So, and Caesar scales to JoJo, who easily can dodge them. So, yeah, I agree with the Caesar outcome. Jobber, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they're pretty much the same thing. You know, Caesar's pretty much just too skilled and too fast for these people to handle. It's same opinions all.
What about you, Forrest? Do you disagree, or do you agree?
Pretty much, Caesar just has just more creativity, more like experience and proficiency with hormone. The bubble launcher would be a big problem for both of them. Dio would just get vaporized by the bubble. Sealing hacks when like Caesar was able to seal Joseph inside the hormone bubble. He'd just seal like Jonathan in there. He'd get sealed in there, and of course, he has ways to just like deal with any of their offense, and he just pretty much blitz in one shot. So yeah, I agree. Caesar would take victory.
Yeah, I forgot about the bubbles. The bubbles would be an issue. Yeah, his arsenal is just a little too advanced for them at that point. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Next matchup we have is Caesar Zeppeli versus Mista. I just want to see what y'all's opinion on that is.
Alright, I'll go first. I think, depending on how you go about in terms of like the speed scaling, you could argue like Mista could like tag him with the bullets. But like Caesar does have like his hormone shield, so he could block those bullets. And then of course just like pretty much just pick Mista apart once like Mista runs out of bullets. So like I want to give it more to like Caesar, purely because of like just having the versatility to deal with like like close quarters or like long range fighters. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, Jobber, what do you think?
I think I would give this one to Mista with high difficulty. because usually in his fights, it's mainly his luck in the end of the day that just brings him to the victory. I do think that when he shoots his bullets, like say Caesar dodges or something like that, and the bullets like fly back at him, he's like, "What the fuck is this bullshit?" Right? And eventually, Captain is right. He's gonna pick him apart. I think that Mista will eventually find an opening just due to his insane ass luck, because it's kind of both ways. It's kind of like it seems like it's all bad luck, but in the end, it all turns out good. If it makes any sense.
Yeah, he starts off rough in a lot of his battles, but it
Like
ends
once
up
he
well.
gets his momentum, yeah. Once he gets his momentum going, then something that really can stop him. That's my opinion on that. Mista takes it high difficulty.
What do you think, Don?
Honestly, I would have to give it to Caesar with extreme high difficulty. Just due to the fact that his technical ability is just more than Mista, and I would put an ability of like his hormone blocking and stuff like that in comparison to Sex Pistols. I'd give Caesar more than Mista.
Yeah. So, do you guys think if a bullet gets through, how much trouble is Caesar in? How much do you trust his durability?
He was able to tank Wamu's Divine Sandstorm. Yes, he was definitely extremely injured, but he still was able to tank it.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I probably would lean Caesar. I do agree. Mista's really lucky, but I also think Caesar showed his intelligence and fight IQ almost matched luck in some ways, like when he was hanging out with JoJo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good fight. Maybe one I'll revisit later in detail, but I think like on the surface, I'd probably favor the versatility of Caesar, but I can see the argument for Mista because he might be able to sneak a couple through. We got another one that's a weird one. Aerosmith versus Baron Zeppeli. To help Baron out, we're gonna let him. He knows he's going up against Aerosmith.
All right.
Jobber, you can go first if you want.
Well, in terms of this battle of Aerosmith versus Baron Zeppeli, now this one I know for sure that Aerosmith would definitely take the win because Narancia, or Aerosmith either way, he's a very aggressive and violent fighter. When he was first introduced, that's how he usually fights with Aerosmith, but Aerosmith is just like a constant barrage of just bullets. It's just Narancia is the type of person when he fights, he's trying not to let you think. He doesn't want you to do anything. He doesn't want you to let you think, to make up plans. He's just going to keep attacking you and attacking you. And he has firepower enough to like blow up cars with his missiles. And I just think that will be too much for Baron Zeppeli, and in his skills and experience, it's just a bit out there for him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Aerosmith would just be too much of a problem. I'd argue there'd be like a slight, probably be like a speed edge. And like we've seen like Narancia, like when he's like really pissed, this dude's like a super goon. This dude will like just freaking shoot up everything. So it'd just be too much for like Baron to cope with. So I would say I would lean more to like Aerosmith.
Yeah, I have to agree. I believe that it would be too much for Baron Zeppeli to handle Aerosmith, just within the speed factor in his AP.
Now for speed, I do think Baron's decent because he's somewhat reacted to like Final Dio in part 1, who had a light speed attack, so he was decent. I think it might be a little closer in speed, and maybe there's some arguments for Baron, but I think Baron, if he's smart and catches him early, that's his best bet. But I think if it gets past the first few moves the first probably minute or so of combat, Aerosmith's too dynamic and too crazy. And he would just start lighting everything up, and that's when it'd be too much of an issue. So I'm kind of split on it. I do favor the early fight to Baron because he's smart, but I think 6 out of 10 to Aerosmith because it's more than likely going to last more than a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, more Narancha's a goon. He carries a knife with him, just threatens people with it.
That's true. All right, next one. Joseph Joestar Part 2 versus Anakin Skywalker. So I'll break down Anakin real quick. He's at least FTL. Jedi are casually able to react, jumping through hyperspace with his light speed. Young Jedi, it was confirmed in Secrets of the Jedi, even in new canon, even though I'm going to use some legends, that they react to lasers. So, consistently FTL, way above that. He's one of the best duelists in the galaxy. He knows several forms of martial arts. His lightsaber, obviously, can cut through steel and things of that nature. He can force push, force choke. His speed, his precog is all augmented by the force. And he gets heavy rage amps when you piss him off. So we have him versus Joseph Joestar. I think this one's interesting. I'm gonna assume JoJo's energy could block a lightsaber. I think it could. So I think that keeps him in it. It's just Joseph's trash talk might end up amping Anakin, which would be really bad. But I think if JoJo can land a couple hits, it might go in his favor. I don't know. I might hear y'all weigh in and then give my final decision. But yeah, go ahead.
It's very interesting. So like, obviously, depending on the scenario and how it goes down, so like Harmon itself can like travel through objects, so it could like go through like Anakin's like lightsaber and like zap him and stuff. But like, yeah, like if we go off like in character and stuff, if like Joseph starts like trash talking and saying a bunch of like nonsense to like tick Anakin off, that would be counterintuitive, because then Anakin would just get amped. He'd go for like, like ratchet like tactics, like freaking force choke. That would be a massive problem.
Yeah.
That would be like, there's nothing Joseph could do at that point. So yeah, it depends on, could go either way. It's very close. I think
now that
Anakin,
is interesting.
Yeah.
I want to hear what the others think about the whole passing his energy through the blade.
Honestly, I don't know. It just depends on what the lore of Star Wars says about what a lightsaber's like the actual saber is made out of. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about Star Wars to tell you that.
It's fair to say the energy can block it. I don't think that's a stretch.
Okay, I mean, I'll definitely will accept that then. My thing would be is the rage amps that Joseph would give Anakin just by his personality. He's known to piss people off to try to get them off their game, but that definitely wouldn't work on Anakin. I just feel like that would be his downfall.
Yeah, if JoJo can catch him early, he has a chance, but you know what, actually, I think JoJo, how good's his range? I don't remember if he ever used projectiles.
He has a Thompson gun, he has a Tommy gun.
Oh yeah, the Tommy gun. I don't know. He's clever. He might be able to find a way to disarm Anakin. See, the thing that JoJo might do is he's willing to lose an arm to kill you. He might give up his arm to a chop to kill Anakin.
Yeah.
He's definitely willing to do that in character. They showed his resolve is crazy. It's just as big as Jonathan's. And he has really good luck too, which should counteract the precog from Anakin. It's interesting. That might be another one I got to do an extended video on. Final battle, we're gonna do this because we're gonna do 2 parts. Final one of part 1 is a battle Don came up with: King Crimson versus Midnighter. Forrest, you want to break down King Crimson?
Sure. So King Crimson's unique ability with his stand, he has the ability to erase time or /skip it. He can also see I believe 10 seconds into the future, giving him enough time to analyze his opponent's movements before it happens, and then he just decides whether to skip the time or not. And then, for example, let's say your opponent shoots a bullet, he'll just skip the time of it happening, and just bamboozle the opponent, and then just take it from there.
Yeah, so Midnighter, for people that don't know, he was originally Wildstorm Comics. Now he's in DC. He's a character. He has a supercomputer in his brain that basically goes over every possible fight outcome there could be, and if there's any way he can win out of the billions of outcomes, he will. It's somewhat like backtracking, where he'll fight backwards to the goal to win. So he knows what path to take to win. He also knows your weaknesses. He has a healing factor. It's a decent healing factor. He doesn't feel pain. One of the best martial artists in DC Comics. When he sees your weak point, obviously he can hit you there and bypass durability. He almost killed Martian Manhunter with a punch because he found a genetic weakness. He has fought characters that actually moved into the future, a few seconds in the future before. So he does have that experience. However, I don't see Midnighter countering that big of a time erasure. Now, what he could do maybe is if we give him his portals from older runs and he can teleport around, he can make distance, but then it's a waiting game at that point, and eventually the time catches up. So I just think, because the first time he fought the guy with the time hack, he lost, but he came back and won later, but that was only a few seconds. So like I said, I don't think Midnighter will definitely survive the first few attacks, but I don't think he can win it. I'm curious to see what y'all think.
Well, honestly, this fight just hinges on if there's a possibility that Midnighter can even beat Crimson. That's really just what it hinges on. And the only weaknesses that have been shown in part of 5 of King Crimson that Bucciolati stated is that basically there's a limit to how far in the future he can see. He can only see 10 seconds into the future. That's literally the only weakness of the stand. So it's maybe if Midnighter is enough, maybe even lucky enough to land a fatal blow on King Crimson, Diavolo, and just end the fight then and there. But even then, this is going to be extremely difficult because Onerith and Bucciolati, they couldn't do that. They can only graze. That's the best they can do is only graze King Crimson. That's the best they can do. So yeah, in my opinion, King Crimson wins.
Okay. This is an interesting one. If you break it down, so if you look, it depends on the speed, in my opinion. And obviously the layers of precognition and how far you can see into how many layers you've got in precog. The time erasure would definitely be a problem for Midnighter. But if Midnighter does if Midnighter does for example have the speed edge, and obviously being able to have the info analysis, see just countless if not countless ways to see into the future and come up and assimilate different ways to defeat King Crimson. He could just like get a step ahead and then just like one shot before he gets the time erasure off, because it's not passive. He does have to activate it, so that could definitely roll into his favor.
I thought foreshadowing or whatever it was called was passive.
For King Crimson, like he has to physically like activate it, like his because when he was fighting against Bucciarati, when he like got the sucker punch in, when King Crimson was off guard, King Crimson quickly realized he was about to get punched, and he had to quickly activate his time erasure and like the precognition in order to avoid it. Otherwise, he would have just got bamboozled and clapped. So yeah, it depends on how the scenario goes. So it could definitely go either way.
Yeah, at that point, I think it might be a distance factor as well. Don, what do you think?
If this was Midnighter's just first encounter with King Crimson, I believe he would get beat. But with prep time, I believe Midnighter could definitely take King Crimson. His ability to think out every single scenario would be an advantage after he sees what King Crimson's able to do. But I think right in the heat of the moment, I think King Crimson would be able to get the edge advantage.
Yeah,
but Midnighter with prep, I believe, would be able to take it.
Yeah, very situational. Like, depends on the scenario. I do agree with that, Don.
Same here.
All right, yeah, I agree. I think distance is a big factor too. Anyways, guys, for people watching, stay tuned for part 2. We actually have several more matchups, and we'll probably add a couple more. But thank you guys for coming on the channel. Forrest and Jobber's channels will be linked in the comments, so check out the pinned comments, check their content out. They also make fiction-related content. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We're wrapping up JoJo week and getting into DC week, so that's exciting. But yeah, it's been your favorite villain, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.